So here's the my story as a child, turned into an adult, as it relates to motherhood, Mother's Day. Um, I was 10 years old, and it had been a few years that I had been experiencing what people call abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse. Um, and I was born into a home of what I thought were loving parents, even though there was abuse. They were Christians, they were Seventh-day Adventists. My dad was a preacher in the church. My mom was someone that taught the kids the Sabbath school. And I was raised by leaders. They were leaders in the community. And I noticed that who their behavior outside of the house in church was different than the behavior inside of the house. So as a child, I started thinking, like, why are my parents different outside of the house? My father is a charismatic preacher. People love him. I love him. I want to be like him. And then when it comes to being inside of the house, it's kind of like my mom and him, they fight so much. Why are they so different inside of the house? So as a child, I started creating stories that I was the problem, that my parents were fighting. And I had the reason I thought I was the problem is because my mom would complain to my dad to be a father, or a better father, because she thought he wasn't. My dad was more like a friend. She was more like the parent for everyone. So I started creating stories like, it's my fault. It's my fault. It's because of me. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not handsome enough. I'm not lovable enough. I'm not smart enough. And it wasn't until I was 10 years old that in one of the spankings that happened quite often, um, mainly from my mom, that I pushed her. And in that moment that I pushed her, I saw for the first time my mom feeling afraid of me. And that was the last time she spanked me. So that was when I was 10 years old. And then I noticed, okay, I'm getting taller, I'm getting bigger. Maybe now now I won't be spanked, which is great because it hurts. It wasn't until about 20 years later, that I was reading a book. The book is called The Truth by Neil Strauss. And in that book, it talked about the challenges of the author going through rehab. And in rehab, he learned about he learned about one word. But before I say that word, I'm going to talk about the word narcissism. He learned about narcissism. And then he explained what he was learning, what narcissistic parents were, or narcissistic mom was. And I never thought that a mother and narcissism or narcissistic would be in the same sentence. It didn't occur to me. But then going online, doing some more research, I realized, wow, actually, it's a lot of people having a similar story of having perhaps parents or mothers that were not, probably doing the best they could, but they were not very healthy mentally or emotionally. So I started having some clarity, some light into my past. Then the next word came. The next word is enmeshment. Enmeshment. And enmeshment is a word in psychology that when a father or a mother is having conversations with a child that they're not supposed to have with a child, either complaining about the parent or treating the child, not validating their feelings, asking for things that are way above what they should be asking. It's really lack of boundaries. So the word is enmeshment, which means like a net that grabs, like, I was looking at the root of the word enmeshment. It has to do with a net, as if a fisherman, they're fishing for something, and whatever gets entangled in the net, gets very disorganized, and it's not a healthy thing. So through that book, I was able to start feeling like, okay, my mom was not, it was not a normal thing that happened with me in my childhood. And then over the years, going through a lot of healing, I found myself in a lot of rooms where I was either the only guy with, say, shamans that were, female shamans that were in their 70s or their 80s, like medicine women, quite often, because I was seeking for so much healing. I really wanted to like be free from the pain of like, how could my mom, the person that gave me birth and loved me so much, she did love me. I remember times that she showed me a lot of love. How could the same person do these other things? So a little bit of my story there, that book started helping me realize that it's not, and here's where I'm going to a punchline here. And the punchline I'm getting to is a punchline that's in the movie. The movie is called Good Will Hunting. Who here has seen that movie, Good Will Hunting? Okay, so if you remember that movie, that there's a conversation of a young man with a psychiatrist, a therapist, and the client, the young man, was being very harsh, very hard on the psychiatrist, on the therapist. And finally, the punchline is this, and this is a punchline I've been seeing over and over for you as a child or anyone here listening to this. The punchline is, it's not your fault. What your mom did, it's not your fault. And this carries over to another book that has given me a lot of freedom called The 4 Agreements. One of the agreements is don't take anything personally. Don't take anything personally. So if my mom, she said, use her words to put, to like in one of the 4 agreements is be impeccable with your word. If your mom was not impeccable with her word to you, don't take it personal. It may be something that you need to decide, something that you need to like, okay, can I listen to my mom, or can I put some boundaries in place so that when she talks to me, I am being me and there are boundaries. So next, what we can check in or talk about is boundaries. But before I continue, I want to hear if there are any comments on what I've shared so far, or anything that's coming up for you.
It's all relatable for me. Like, I feel like I'm you. Yeah, I feel like I've landed here for a reason. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I really like that. I know that sounds strange, but it's relatable.
Got it. And feel free to jump in at any time, please. Okay. So we talked about then it's not your fault. We talked about enmeshment, narcissism. There's also another word that I learned. It took me a while to get it into my, immigrant brain, which is gaslighting, meaning that if you express something to someone, they are not acknowledging what you just said, or they're not acknowledging your feelings. They're not respecting your being, your beingness. And I think this is great for us to next talk about boundaries. So one of the first boundaries that I put around my mom and my parents were, I noticed they were just calling me when they needed money. And I felt, because I remember the boundary that was around 2013 when I set that boundary with them. Prior to that, maybe 15 years earlier, my dad borrowed money to get me into the US for the first 6 months of school and board and a car. And I was so grateful he did that. And I promised him that I would learn English faster than anyone so I could get a job and start paying back. And that's what happened. That was around 1998, 1999. By 2000, I already had a business. I had invited my dad to come work with me in my business, and he did. It wasn't for another 13 years that I realized that I still feel like I need to, like, something happened where here's the money back to I'll just pay for everything to them just calling me for money. Okay, so and then I had a mentor at the time, and I asked her, hey, I feel like I need to put a boundary with my parents when they call about money. What do you think? And I think what she said, it has something to do with intuition. Like, if you're asking me, then the answer is yes. It has nothing to do with you asking. It has to do with what you think is right. And the question came from, say, an insecurity of, but they're my parents. How can I put a boundary like that? It came from that, which is not really insecure. It has validity there. And I noticed that really it was not helping the relationship. So as we talk now next about boundaries or boundaries mapping, I think it's important to, whatever the boundary is, it's relevant to helping the relationship be strong. And one of the ways I've helped myself and people in the past is through boundary mapping. And it's the first boundary that one needs to draw is with self. My boundaries were not clear with me. That's why I allowed environments for people to cross boundaries that were not clear, because I didn't have clear boundaries with myself. So what boundaries am I talking about? So boundaries of how to communicate with self. So borrowing from the four agreements, being impeccable with your word. How am I communicating with myself? Can I increase the boundary of clarify the boundary that I'm only going to speak nicely or kindly or lovingly with myself? So that's one boundary. So inner communication, how do I communicate with self? The feelings I choose to generate. Wait, did I just say generate feelings? Yeah. So one can go from being triggered by feelings to now I get to choose. I get to decide which feelings I generate. So that's another boundary. And all of these start with decisions. And just how we started the session today with intentions, just like that. My intention is I want to speak kindly to myself from now on. I want to accept myself the way I am. I want to respect myself so highly that I feel like I'm my best friend. I mean, these are some of the words I use for myself. You can come up with your own if you like, or you can borrow. The goal is that when you have boundaries for self on how you treat yourself, so one is inner dialogue, the other one is emotions you generate. The third one is the thoughts you will engage in. So in the beginning of this third one, thoughts you engage in, it may be that thoughts are random, but then you get to choose which thoughts you engage with, meaning it's okay to have random thoughts and then just let them pass as if they were clouds in the sky. Another thing is to engage. So having a decision, from this moment on, I promise myself that I will only engage in thoughts that are uplifting or loving or empowering, whatever the word is for you. You can choose your words or you can use the same. So boundaries, inner dialogue, emotions to generate, and thoughts to engage in. So that's a primer on boundary mapping. That once you have your boundaries clear to yourself, then it's so much clearer to then communicate or to enforce boundaries with others. And my experience has been that it'll be a short while once you start implementing your boundaries with others, that you will only be around people that you don't need to implement your boundaries with, because you'll be surrounded with people that are not getting close to the boundary lines. They are so far from the boundary lines because they are in the loving, supportive, uplifting realm that the boundary lines don't even come up. So the goal of boundaries is not to find people or to have people in your life that to see how far they can get close to the boundary line without crossing. You want people that are far away as possible from the boundary lines. This is making sense. Yeah. Any comments or questions on this one?
Yeah, I mean, setting the boundaries with yourself is the most important thing. It's you're projecting out to the world how you feel about yourself, and so you have to love yourself enough to set those boundaries for you, and then they just congruently go into, spill into the outside world, your family, your friends, your circle, society in general. So yes, it's resonating.
Awesome. Once those boundaries are set with self, and so one framework you can use, it's the inner dialogue, the emotions and the thoughts. Another framework is the relationship agreement. The relationship agreement, what is that? So I've been using, I never found one that's, when I heard about relationship agreements, I never found one that was like, say, this is what a relationship agreement is. So I just created one type. And this one type, I think, is pretty simple to follow. It has three parts: needs, wants, and boundaries. Needs, wants, and boundaries. And this relationship agreement can be with self, it can be with another, it can be with an area of life. So this is how an example is, for instance, a relationship agreement with self. What are my needs? What are the needs that need to be met for the relationship with self, my relationship with myself, to be healthy, or to be whatever word is valuable to you, to be free, to be loving, to be empowering. So a need for me, and the need, the difference between need and want is need is non-negotiable. Just like boundaries, needs are non-negotiable. So for me, one need is positive self-talk. It's non-negotiable. And I laugh because the times I didn't gave myself or fulfill on that need, I generated suffering. I caused myself suffering. Self-talk, positive self-talk. Another need is self-care. And more specifically, how can I prove to myself that I'm fulfilling on the need of self-care? Is sleeping well or sleeping enough, to me. So I'm just giving you examples. So if I'm having integrity and having a relationship with myself that is uplifting, then those are two of my needs. It's positive self-talk and enough sleep. There's more. I have a bunch, but I'm just giving you some ideas. A want, which is negotiable, is travel. I love travel, but at this point, is not a need. Is a want. That if I give that to myself, I'm proving to myself that I'm meeting that want, or gifting that want to myself as a prop, as a gift, as a reward. A boundary would be judging. So a boundary is always going to be in the negative sense. There's always going to be a negative sentence to remind me that if I judge myself or criticize or talk bad or think badly, which in the past I used to do a lot, that's a boundary. Like I need to be as far away from that as far away as possible from that boundary line. So that's needs wants boundaries. So that's something that I highly recommend if you feel called, if you feel like it could help you, for you to create a Google Doc or write on a sheet of paper. And then you can use the framework for not just relationship with self. We can do another one, relationship with mom, relationship with a group of people, relationship with a specific person, same framework. And that becomes the map for that relationship to be empowering or uplifting. Any comments or questions on that? Cool. Feel free to unmute anytime and just jump in. Okay, next, death exercise. One thing that has helped me a lot in regards to relationship with mom and seeing her as she did the best she could. I mean, she was not, she was loving in her way, and she did things that were not very nice. And it's the past. One thing that helped me, many things, but one more thing that helped me is a death exercise. Seeing first, so there are two types of death exercise. Seeing myself, my awareness being floating into the future, and watching my burial, to watch, say, the eulogy, my eulogy, as people, what are they saying about me? What are they celebrating my life? What are the comments? What is my best friend saying? Where's my partner saying? My kids? And from that perspective, look at the relationship with mom. Was it worth it for me to have the emotions that I attached to the memories? So for instance, when I was being spanked, up to a few years ago, the emotion was anger, was sadness. And now as I talk about it, and I'm picturing, that the visual of me, she having me down on the floor as she's spanking me, and I look up to the right, and I'm trying to have her distract her. I want to distract her from spanking because it was hurting so bad. And she started asking me, like, what are you looking at on the corner there? And I was just looking up to the corner of the ceiling, playing like as if I was crazy, as if there was something there to look at, just so that I could distract her. That was one of the worst memories I had. And now I can talk about it and see how my mom, in the past, say, 7 years, she almost died every single year, going to ICU. And I'm thinking, and from the death exercise, so maybe there's some connection. I'm making a connection here that makes sense for you. So from the death exercise, looking at the memories, looking at my mom, getting older, closer to death, I have a choice in what emotion I attach to that scene, that memory. I have a choice. I have a choice to maybe have no emotion. Maybe I have a choice that I can have the courage to talk about that description in a way that could inspire others to, if there were any memories, any things that were too hurtful, to then start asking self, what's the lesson? What is the lesson? If I acknowledge what the lesson is, so for me, there are many. If I acknowledge what the lesson is, I can start to release the emotions. What is the lesson for me there? That I had a mother who thought that there's a verse in the Bible that don't remove the rod from your child, so they don't become a problem later in life. And the rod is like something to hit the child with. So I had a mother who believed in that. She thought she was doing good. And I laugh is because, I mean, it's not happening here. It happened. Over the years, I started learning how the body, every year, all the cells in the body are new. So this is not the body that got spanked. Not even a year later, it was not the body that got spanked. So if this is not the body that got spanked, I get to choose with my conscious mind, the mini computer. It can process very little, but it can direct the supercomputer, the unconscious mind, the mind that keeps the body alive, all the systems in the body, the digestive system, the heart beating, the lungs breathing. That mind is very obedient and it's very loyal because it already keeps the body running. That mind also keeps the beliefs. I can direct that mind to have the emotions that I want to have with that picture. The body that got hurt is no longer here. So if I were to put myself through the pain that happened that day when I was 10 years old, is, what's the word? It's me doing it. It's self-inducing. It's me using the power of imagination to cause a thing called suffering. Using the power of imagination to cause a thing called suffering. The difference between pain and suffering, pain is going to happen. Suffering is self-induced. Pain is going to happen. Suffering is self-induced. So suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. So the death letter or the death exercise. If I've, in my imagination, using the power of imagination, float to the future, past point of death, having been in the ceremony of life where my friends and family are gathered, and start seeing things from that viewpoint, that perspective, it's possible that I can start giving new emotions or new meanings to what happened. And one of the tools to use is ask, what is the lesson? So for me, 10 years old, being spanked by mom, a few lessons there is that I'm never going to do that to my kids. So that's one. The other one is forgiveness. Can I forgive myself? Notice I didn't say mom. Mom is next. Can I forgive myself for whatever thoughts, emotions I caused suffering that was not necessary? Because she was hitting me, it was painful. Can I forgive myself if there's nothing wrong with me, that it's not my fault? Can I just forgive myself if there was any accusatory remarks of self to self? The next is forgiveness of mom. Can I forgive mom? Not for her, for me. Can I forgive mom for me? And forgiveness, the way I translate the word forgiveness is to be honest with the lessons. What is the lesson here? The lesson here is that I need to have boundaries. I need to have boundaries. And when I got tall enough, big enough, I created boundaries. So the lesson, what is the lesson here? Can I be honest? Can I have courage to carry out what the lesson is? And then throughout the years, having more boundaries with mom. And this could be for anyone, not just with mom. Being honest and acknowledging the lesson can be one of the tools that can free you up in areas where you were not free before the session. Acknowledging the lesson. If it happened to you, if it happened to me, in one of my hypotheses, it's because there was a lesson there. And if I don't admit it, if I don't acknowledge it, it might show up again and again and again. So close the loop, close the cycle by being honest and going, okay, I will once and for all acknowledge what the lesson is. The lesson is this, this, this. You can write 10 lessons or 100 lessons if you want, or just one. The lesson will replace the emotions that were not so pleasant. So that's why I feel I can talk about that scene that, you know, if someone watches the scene, it would have been a horrible scene of a kid playing crazy and dumb, you know, to distract mom from the physical hurt. Any questions or comments there?
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to honor you for your vulnerability, because you know how I am with the vulnerability in the men. So I just want to honor you for that, really and truly. And it's like you're breaking the generational trauma, right? And only specific chosen ones are brave enough and strong enough and confident enough to go and do this level of work that you've done. And hurt people. And so she was probably spanked in the same way, and she didn't know any better. And it's something that, you know, I found a few years ago, that, you know, I was raised by emotionally mature parents, and I had to heal that piece, realizing that I had to be the adult some of the time, because they just were not emotionally capable of being an adult and a parent, you know, for that matter, but let alone just be an adult. So yeah, it's all, I'm just writing all kinds of notes. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. This reminds me of a couple of books. One is called Attached.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Right? Yeah, the power of adult attachment styles. The other book is called is it The Game of Life? I need to double check. But there's a book from a psychiatrist. He wrote it in the 60s. No, called Games People Play. Games People Play.
Yeah.
Such a good book. So that book, it talks about how there are three types of people from the point of view of the author. And one type is the child, one type is the parent, the other type is the adult. And that in life, people are either playing the role of child or of a parent or an adult. And for relationships to be sustainable, that it's healthy when two people are playing the role of adult. And then I start seeing how in my past relationships and in past relationships with friends, family, significant others, family members, where either I was being a child or I was being the parent. I was like, there's a lot of opportunity for me to be adult.
Isn't it great to have that reflection?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. So that's reminded me. So we're coming up on time here. I want to be respectful of time. Is it okay if I share with you a little bit of a continuation of a program that I have that I believe can be, yeah.
Please do. Yes.
Okay, cool. So I have a program called the 52 Weeks of Love, Freedom, and Growth. And it's a supportive program. It's a supportive program to help anyone release anything that needs to be released. I even, when I want to say the word trauma to me, I don't even want to say the word trauma because I don't want to give it any like, power than what then it's similar to fear, false evidence appearing real. After close to 10,000, not 10,000, 1,000 clients, I've beyond the shadow of a doubt how false evidence appearing real is a fabrication of one's meaning, and how one can use the power of imagination to create the past, even just like how now I have created my past with my mom is different because I shifted the emotions that are attached to the images. So the images are the same in a memory, but the emotion, if any, they're different. So this is a group program. We meet once a week or up to 3 times a week. There's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday is the same content, but different times. Monday night, Tuesday morning, and Wednesday midday, same content, and people join in from different parts of the world based on their time. And we meet for an hour, and we do energy healing. We do some distinctions like we did today, and then we create. Meaning, I think the easiest part about the program is the releasing of things, because once we get in the wavelength of releasing things, then we get into creation mode, and creation mode is then the I don't know mode, meaning I'm clear, there's nothing in front of me, what do I create? Then it's stepping into the realm of empowerment. That what do I need to be, who do I need to be, so I am creating my next week, my next month, my next year, next 10 years of life. So it's releasing whatever needs to be released, which to me, I think that's the fastest process. And once one feels like it's clear, then okay, I'm lighter. My backpack, I have only the essentials, no more luggage, no more baggage that is not useful. I'm light. I can soar. So we work mainly on that. Like once, and whatever comes up in the soaring of things, new fears might come up, new traumas might surface, then because then the subconscious mind feels like, oh, you're getting really good at releasing stuff, here's another one that I've been hiding from you and keeping from you. Get that one released. So the program is $500 a month, and you can attend all 3 sessions if you want, or you can attend one. I'm gonna put my phone number in my WhatsApp in the chat, and you can text me, and when you text me, I can send you the link to sign up. So that's my WhatsApp, and that's my phone number. Any questions, any comments, any ahas, any takeaways? We have about 3 minutes.
So I would like to add another way to reframe fear is to face everything and rise.
I like it. I like that a lot. I think Pitbull created a song with that.
I have no idea.
I think, yeah, he created a song in 2020 with COVID. He created a song about face everything and rise, using the fear.
Yeah. It's been around in my space for years, so I'm not sure even where I picked it up, but it just always sticks with me.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Chris?
I just want to say thank you. So yeah, it's put me in a much more positive mindset. I'm going to give my mum an opportunity will appear. I think give her a bit of time. I'm going to encourage my brother to see her because he lives in England around the corner from her. Get them two back on speaking terms. And I think that'll naturally heal it. But I've got these boundaries now, like when she asks for money, I know what to say. And like you said, trust your instinct. So I really like that. So sometimes she'll ring me, she's got no money. I need to pay for food. But when she's ringing me, asking me to pay for holidays and things like that and using other excuses, I've opened my eyes to that now. So I'm fine with that. And if she wants to come to Portugal and see my kids, she's going to have to get a job and save up and pay for it. That's easy. But actually, it helped me with a lot more different things. So, and I think the mum thing now, I mean, I left England 20 years ago. So I was kind of thinking, I think I'm probably at the end of that journey. And the kids have actually got another lady who's like their grandma. So I think we're going to spend more time with her now. She's always been a constant in their lives. So it's helped me realize about that. And yeah, it's helped me realize about some meetings I've got coming up that maybe my mum wants a massive issue. And there's a couple of other people that I need to say goodbye to. So, and while I was on the phone, because I like to take action straight away, I just blocked them. I thought, I'm going to have earlier today, I was thinking I'm going to have a big fight with you if I see you. And I just went, just goodbye, block them. So, and it's a guy who owes me like 300 grand and he's never going to pay me. And I've been thinking, he should pay me, If he needs the money, he needs the money. And so it's just better block and move on. Otherwise, it's just going to be a fight. I don't want to fight anymore. So, yeah, rather concentrate on getting myself healthy, which is what I'm doing this year. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
Beautiful.
Yeah, amazing. Very inspiring. Awesome. Cool. Thank you for an SG. I see you clapping there with your hands. Thanks for joining. Yeah, this is it.
Thank you, Fernando.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For holding space for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah,
really appreciate it.
This was and has been fun, and I'm looking forward to doing this once a year.
Do more.
What's that?
I think you need to do more. Are we friends on Facebook?
I don't know. Let me see. Chris White.
I think that's on. I thought it was in a Tony Robbins group that you put it in.
Yes, I did. I put in the Platt events.
That was it. It's the first event I've ever signed up for on the Platt events.
Really?
Yes, and I've been a platinum member for 2 years.
Oh, that's amazing. Same here. So
You've
I
been
found yeah, I joined in 2020.
I did it back in 2013, and then I've just come back again a few months ago.
Oh, amazing. So
What is this you guys are speaking of? What's the membership?
It's Tony Robbins. People when they go to UPW, then they do business mastery, and then after business mastery is the platinum partnership.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Tony Robbins. Gotcha.
Yeah. So Chris, I'll find you on WhatsApp and I'll send you my my Facebook link there.
Perfect. I've just sent you a message on WhatsApp earlier as well to say thank you.
Oh, perfect. Okay, good. Awesome.
Yes.
Well, nice meeting you.
I'm definitely interested in signing up.
Yeah, nice to meet you. And Chris, is it okay if I friend you on Facebook as well?
Please do. Yes.
Awesome.
And if you
awesome.
find yourself in Portugal, and then just let me know and I'll come and meet you and I'll show you around.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yay.
Okay.
Awesome. Bye, Nicole. Bye, Chris. Bye, SG.
Thanks, Orlando. Thanks, Nicole.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.